LYRA of Earth never meant to start a war in the heart of the Ethon Dominion. The Ethon were war Templars, 12 feet of living armor and plasma flame. Their faith was simple. Strength is sacred. Weakness is sin. You stand in the fire, or you are Ash.jx, was Ash before he ever lived. Born without the inner flame, his skin pale and cold where every other cub burned gold, the high priest named him Void-marked, unfit for the crucible, unfit for the name of warrior. His own broodfather struck his name from the Temple of Names. The other younglings learned to channel fire through their bones while Jocks sat in the cathedral shadows, hands pressed to stone that would not answer him. LYRA was a salvage engineer. One of the few humans allowed in Ethon space after the Concord of Cinders, she repaired their fallen warships, stripped their dead mechs, and kept her head down. That was the law. But laws crack when a 9-year-old cub hides in your workshop every dusk cycle, watching your welder like it is a prayer. Your fire is out, LYRA said on the second week, setting down her plasma cutter. Ethon despised pity. Jax did not flinch. His eyes were embers that never caught. Can you stand? Yes. Can you endure? The cub's claws dug into the deck plating. Yes. Then you are not empty, LYRA told him. You are unfed. Unfed is not worthless. 8 months passed. Jocks came each evening. He brought questions the priests called heresy. Why do human ships use shields instead of skin? How can fuel burn without a soul? Why do your machines help the slow instead of culling them? LYRA answered. And with every answer, a design grew in her mind. The Ethon built crucible plate for their chosen. Massive exosuits that turned flame into weapons, made for beings who could walk through stars. Jocks would never wear one. Without the inner fire, the plate would kill him in seconds. So LYRA built something else. She collected what the temples discarded. Thermal mesh, called too thin. Capacitors labeled too weak. Alloy bones deemed brittle. What the Ethon saw as garbage, LYRA saw as grace. The suit took shape over 7 months. It was not meant to make Jocks stronger. It was meant to make him present. Synthetic flame channels ran under the plating, fed by microreactors. Heat regulators kept his core stable. Kinetic amplifiers in the limbs turned small movements into strikes that mattered. The armor was light, responsive, built to channel will, not worship. Human engineering. Made for adaptation, for survival, for turning nothing into something. When LYRA sealed the final plate onto Jocks, in the silence of her hangar, the cube stood without trembling for the first time. He stepped forward. The suit hummed, alive, waiting. Does it burn? LYRA asked. Jocks closed his eyes. I feel warm. You were never cold, she said. You were just alone. Now you are armed. The crucible trial came 17 days later. Jocks walked into the fire gardens wearing the suit. The acolytes stopped chanting. The priests rose in fury. A void marked in warrior plate was desecration. Then High Priest Malcor laughed, a sound like cracking stone. Let the ash cub enter. The crucible is set for Flameborn. Let him prove the gods were right to abandon him. Jocks stepped onto the black sand. The first flame pillar erupted, programmed to judge the soul's fire. Jax had no flame to give, so he did not try. The suit's sensors read his intent, redirected the heat, bled it through vents, and turned it into motion. He could not overpower the crucible, so he outhoed it. He moved through the inferno like a shadow through light, striking the test pillars at their base where the stone was cool. This was not Ethon combat. It was something older, human. When the final pillar fell, shattered from beneath, the fire gardens were silent. Elder Savara was first to speak, her scars glowing white. This is not the way of flame, Jocks said, standing in the ash. It is the way of survival. Who built this? Savara demanded. Jax lifted his chin. LYRA, the human. The Council of Embers convened that night. LYRA was dragged to the High Cathedral, where the Flame Lords decided matters of heresy and honor. She expected the pyre, maybe oblivion for corrupting their blood. She did not expect Pontifex Vareth to descend from the throne of suns. Vareth was myth. His armor bore the marks of 1,000 cleansings. He circled LYRA once, slow measuring. "You taught the Void Cub to lie to the fire," Vareth said. "I taught him to speak to it," LYRA corrected. "He taught himself to walk through it. You gave him sin. He always had soul. I gave him the tools to show it." Vareth's flames dimmed, a sign of deepest contemplation. Then he did what no Ethon had done for an outsider since the First War. He knelt. "Our doctrine says the flame chooses," the Pontifex said. "You have shown us the flame can be invited, built, shared." He turned to the assembled legions. "Jox was condemned because we saw his skin and not his spirit. This human saw what we refused to see." Vareth's voice shook the cathedral. "LYRA of Earth, you gave one of our own the right to prove his worth. By the ancient fire oaths, you have earned soul debt," the cathedral roared. Vareth silenced it with a breath. "I name LYRA Flamican, sister to the Ethon Dominion. Her life is our temple. Her enemies are our heretics. Let any who raise weapon against her face, every Templar in this galaxy." One by one, the warriors slammed their fists to their chests, the vow of protection, eternal. LYRA could not breathe. She had expected execution, but this. Jox approached, still wearing the suit, and pressed his forehead to her hand. "The Ethon bond of family. You saw me," he whispered, voice raw. When the fire would not, LYRA knelt to his level, tears burning her eyes. "I saw someone who refused to go cold. That was everything." Later, alone in her workshop, LYRA watched the temple spires. Jox trained with the acolytes now. Different, still, but no longer damned. Humans were not the strongest, not the purest, not the chosen. But we have one instinct the galaxy forgets. We look at the broken and see blueprints. We adapt. We refuse to accept that anyone is truly lost. She had given Jox fire, but what she really gave him was the most human thing of all. The defiant, stubborn belief that everyone deserves a chance to burn bright. And for that, us, 100,000 Templars swore to guard her with their lives and their flames. LYRA wiped her eyes and fired up her cutter. She had 6 new designs on her table. Suits for crippled veterans, rigs for scouts who needed stealth more than heat, frames that could let the dying stand in the sun one last time. The Ethon taught the galaxy what it meant to command fire. Maybe it was time someone taught them that fire has many forms, and that the holiest thing you can ever build is someone else's chance to stand, to fight to light the dark. If this story set something alight in you, do not let it die out. Slam that like button if you believe no one is truly void-marked. Subscribe and join the Dominion, because the next blueprint is already on my bench. And comment below, who in your life deserves fire? I read every single one, and your words keep my forge hot. See you in the next crucible.